Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday morning. It's 8:30. You're watching Rocking Florida Real Estate. It's almost the end of the month, so trick-or-treaters are going to be coming to your house. I'm Jeff Meyer.
I'm Michele Rame, and we're with Star One Realty Group. Welcome to today's show. So, Jeff, what have you been doing?
I'm telling you, we've had the best month so far. Another great week. Went on 3 listing appointments, listed 3 more houses. We put a couple under contract and we closed a couple. Next week is going to be fantastic. A lot of closings next week.
Right.
Michele, why don't you tell us what's going on this week's show?
Alrighty. So I'm going to be finishing up the series, So You Want to Buy a House, with closing. And we're going to have our episode that we had with Carolyn on Care Title, so people know what to do there. But this should give the buyers the last step, which is closing day. Also, Bruce and I are jamming to The Who. We were out at Emily Arena, so that should be a pretty good show that we're doing. And right now I'm just getting ready because we saw the bands and we're going to be putting together the next shows for November. Okay. Have you noticed there's been a lot of traffic?
A lot of traffic. I think the snowbirds are coming back.
I think they are.
I think they are.
So welcome back home.
The restaurants are a little bit crowded. Or what's the term? A little bit
more crowded.
More crowded?
Yeah.
And just a reminder, if you're thinking about buying a home, please give us a call. We're always available for you. If you're thinking about selling a home, we have flexible fees. Our contracts are cancelable at any time, and there's never, of course, any upfront fees. And you know we advertise like crazy. We're on the back page of the Suncoast News. We have an ad in the Sunday Tampa Bay Times. We mail out a flyer. We're Zillow Premier Agents. We're Realtor.com pros. We're all over the place. We do open houses every week.
Stop by and say hi.
Stop by and say hi. Please enjoy the show. And by the way, thank you very much for welcoming us into your home again this week. Again, I'm Jeff Meyer.
I'm Michele Rame, and let's get the show on the road.
on the road, and today we're going to be talking with Carolyn Cars, who owns Care Title. We've been doing business with Carolyn probably, oh my gosh, 10, 12, 14 years. Last year she closed about 100, 120 homes for us here. We're going to ask Carolyn a couple questions real quick. Carolyn, why don't you introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hello, I'm Carolyn Cars. I am the owner and manager of Care Title here in Tarpon Springs. We've been here since 2002, although I've been in title and a real estate attorney for, I will date myself, but probably 30 years now.
Okay. We know Carolyn because all of our sons played hockey together back in the day. Anyway, Carolyn, why don't you tell us a little bit about why a seller needs a title company to do their closing?
Certainly. The last thing that a buyer wants is to pay good money for a property and turn around a week or a month or a year later and find out that A, somebody is claiming an interest in that property, or B, there is a mortgage on the property that was never satisfied, or a lien or a judgment that was never paid, or taxes, property taxes that were never paid, and the county is looking for that. So you really need to do some research and find a good title company and make sure that the title is cleared properly at closing.
Okay. Carolyn, so tell us what the day of close looks like once we get to the closing table.
All right, well, oftentimes when we get to the day of closing, the seller is already signed. Oftentimes they will sign a day before or a few days before closing if they're going out of town. Sometimes they live out of town and we've already mailed their documents to them and they've mailed them back. So either the seller's already signed or the seller comes in before the buyer on the day of closing and they sign their documents.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes, 15, 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot to sign.
Mm-hmm.
First thing they do is they get greeted by this little girl. And she's our little receptionist. And then they come and they sit in this room and myself or one of our other closers comes in and they sign the documents. And then they're given a choice to either wait, usually they don't want to do that, or come back a little later, or have their check mailed to them overnight so they get it the next day. Because after they sign, then the buyer comes in, and assuming that they have a loan, that can take an hour and a half or so to get that done. If it's a cash deal, the buyer signs even quicker than the seller. So that can be done in 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a very smooth transaction.
That's our goal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations! Today is closing day and everything should be done. All you're going to be doing is your walkthrough where you're just going to make sure that the sellers have moved out and everything that's supposed to be there is there. Once you've done your walkthrough, you're going to head over to the title company where you're going to sign papers. If you're paying cash, it's going to be quick. Get your keys and on your way. If it's a mortgage, it's going to take somewhere between an hour to an hour and a half, sometimes a little longer, because the paperwork has to be signed, sent off to the mortgage company for review, and then they okay it. They hand you the keys and the home is yours. Hopefully up to this point, you've got everything on your truck ready to move in. You've turned your electric on, made application for water. Sometimes you have to go with your CD, your HUD statement, which is basically your sale of purchase, over to the water company and have them turn it on. Every county is different, but here where we are, usually you have to take that statement after you close so you can prove it is your house. But other than that, you've done it. You purchased your new house. You're going to get to start your new adventure. And we're so happy if you worked with us that you chose us to help you. If not, and you're looking to buy a house, give us a call. We'll help you through this process. And congratulations. Guess who we went and saw? We saw The Who in concert.
Who?
The Who.
Who?
I don't know. Third base. Anyways, we saw The Who at Emily Arena on Sunday. It was fantastic.
What a show.
Bruce, who are The Who?
The Who. The Who were formed in London in '64. That's right, 55 years ago. Some of us aren't even that old yet.
And some of us are.
And they had at least a 30 or 40 piece orchestra with them. And the sound in Emily, it's the first concert in Emily where my ears hurt. It was loud.
It was nice, too.
And the orchestra just encompassed you.
Yes, and they had everything. They had every kind of horn player, every kind of string, the drummers, and they all played it. Everybody had their part.
This was an orchestra for Florida, for their Florida dates, and it sounds like from state to state, they get a different orchestra, and like they said, these orchestra members start at like age 4 or 5. You throw a handful of paper in front of them, and they're playing in minutes.
Yeah, so that was kind of neat. They gave them a lot of accolades for that. They did take a break because they had practice all day, so they would be ready for, I guess, that night. So
And
that's pretty amazing.
Pete Townsend said they had to go eat the scraps of food up.
Yeah, so back
They brought out 2 of them. They brought out the cello player and the violinist, and then the violinist came out at the end and was dancing with Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend, and she was having a ball playing the violin.
She was.
It was like a country hoedown.
It was like a country hoedown. And to be able to do that is amazing. I mean, I had the opportunity when I went to college. I went to USF and I was in their orchestra, and you have to bring it, as they say, because if not, there's somebody in line ready to take your spot.
Ready to take your seat.
So tell us about the people
So I'm going to go through the original members because they were quite a group. So you had Roger Daltrey on vocals. You had Pete Townsend on guitar. He's the songwriter. He also does some singing. Their original bass player was John S. Whistle. He's passed on. And their original drummer was Keith Moon, and I believe it was on the Ed Sullivan Show or Dick Clark's Bandstand. Because the guys used to bash their guitars up at the end. Well, Keith Moon took it a little bit further and blew up his drum set, and Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey said they've been partially deaf ever since because they didn't know what was going on. The Who performed in 2 of the largest festivals ever. They performed at Woodstock in '69 and Live Aid in '85, and you're never going to have bigger festivals than those 2.
Yeah. I was sitting next to this guy, and we started chatting beforehand, and he had told me that he had been to 100 different concerts, and this was his 7th time seeing The Who. So we were chatting, of course I brought up that, we do this show and that. And so I was saying, oh, we saw this one and that one. He goes, yeah, but did you see the Stones? And I could say, no, I didn't see the Stones, but he was quite a character. And he knew all the words, and he was pretty funny. So Bruce, tell us some of the songs that they played.
So some of their songs are My Generation, I Can See for Miles and Miles, I Won't Get Fooled Again, and the one we let in with, Who Are You?
Right.
And it was kind of neat. Pete Townsend was very proud. His brother, Simon, was playing on guitar the entire night with him. So got a little family going on with
when
that. He
said my brother, I thought he was, just, how men do that. They say, my brother. But he said, no, that's my brother. So that would be fun.
That would be cool.
That'd be a lot of fun. So you have any trivia for us?
I do have some trivia, which not really trivia. If you kind of know me, it'll be an easy guess. But of the Who's songs, and I didn't list this one, what would probably be my favorite?
Oh, I know.
What is it?
It's a pinball wizard.
There you go.
He lives in a room of pinball machines.
And that leads into, in '69, they kind of started the rock operas with the rock opera Tommy. And if you see that, Roger Daltrey actually played Tommy in the movie, and it was really good. And then in the '70s, it was kind of like with Pink Floyd, these rock ballads and rock operas. Mid-'70s, they had Quadrophenia.
Right, and Roger Daltrey, he could go from low to high, and one of the funny parts was it was on the end, and he was going to do a really high pitch, and everybody knew what it was, and he went, and nothing came out, and so he starts to crack up, and he goes, hold that thought, and then he did it. So that was pretty amazing. I was very impressed.
Yeah, Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey were kind of bantering all evening about items, and from what I heard in the spring for their new album, they were in London on opposite sides of the city in separate studios recording. Supposedly there was a big rift between them, and you kept wondering if those 75-year-old guys were going to go at it. And with their banter, you just kind of knew
Yeah.
one of them wanted to just take a guitar and bash the other. But they performed, they didn't miss a step.
Didn't miss a step.
Pete Townsend messed up the order of the songs. He had his moment. Like Michele said, Roger, it was during Teenage Wasteland.
Yeah.
He got the note, and then the second time, nothing came out, and then he warmed up a little, and then he nailed it again. But
Yep.
I tell you what, for their mid-70s, Roger Daltrey was doing the windmill all night
say
long.
that with the microphone. I kept thinking I'd be so afraid.
Oh, yeah,
if I run-
Roger was doing
if I
the
run that
microphone.
front row, I would be like, woo, here it comes.
And then Pete was doing it on his guitar, and you would never know they were that old. It was
No.
just amazing.
Their fingers, and I can't even do that with my fingers. I've tried to learn how to play the guitar. That's like one of my things I want to do. And
She's a Guitar Hero expert, though.
yeah, yeah, that's it. Anyway, so what else? Anything
So
else?
a couple things. They're being around so long. They're known for some things. Like I said, they were huge on the development of the rock opera. They helped build the Marshall stacks. Anyone who knows the rock scene, you have your Marshall amplifiers. Well, they built them up into huge stacks, which probably accounts for a lot of the noise. Not noise, but
Right.
loud volume we heard.
And they put lights on like each of the band members or the orchestra members, their stands. There were different lights, and those lights would go different
music.
with the music, which was kind of cool.
And the Marshalls they still use aren't new digital. They still use the tube style from the 50s and 60s. It gets a better sound, and I've seen in a lot of different shows they talk about, and they're hard to come by because everybody scooped them up, but it's the best. They also were the first to do large PA systems, and that helps with their reverb, which they actually want. Usually you don't want reverb in your band, but they do want it. They were huge in the introduction and use of synthesizers and the use of feedback or reverb and the power chord. And Michelle's not going to think I know what a power chord is because I'm not a band nerd, but it's the root note and the fifth note for that chord.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's a power chord. That's the end of my musical knowledge.
And so we had a wonderful time, and we'll see when they come back and
Yep, they're
on the
still
screen.
playing through the U.S. a little bit. I didn't know what to expect in middle school. In gym, we always had boom boxes. Yes, I said boom boxes playing during gym class in middle school, and it was all Pink Floyd and the Who. So I knew the songs, but so glad I went. I mean, you got two legends up there on stage.
If you get a chance, go out and see the Who, and come back and see us next week.
So Michele, what's the next band we're gonna go see?
Well, we're going to start our whirlwind tour to Las Vegas, where we're going to see Aerosmith, Billy Idol, Ian Marie, Dionne Warwick, and end with Journey. And so those will be coming up shortly. Thank you for joining us for our review of The Who. And this is Bruce and Michele, and we are
Rockin' Florida Real Estate.
Wow, Michelle, the show's over already.
I know, I like it that way. I like to keep it, where everybody has something they like to look at, from looking at our listings to the bands to, different educational things that we have. And so everyone, thank you for watching today's show. Hope to see you back next week.
Thank you for welcoming us into your home. I'm Jeff Meyer.
I'm Michele Rain.
And you've been watching
Rocking Florida Real Estate.
Thank you.
Gabby and Chloe, get their seats warmed up.
We're on our way.